It's been a long time. I shouldn't have left you without some dope content to react to. Common Sense Buffs. Welcome back to another live stream. This is Common Sense Buffs, man. I've been taking a little bit of time off. I don't know about you. I don't know how you guys are getting around not having any football content to react to. It is the off season. It is the slow season. So we are switching up the format just a little bit. Welcome to the biggest, the largest Colorado live stream. Doing a little Monday night action. We're going to get back to the regular routine, but life's been a little bit busy. So I hope all is well with you and yours. I know you can see from the thumbnail, we have an action-packed show. We're going to do a little bit of recruiting news, and we're going to do a little bit of buffs around the NFL. There is no football content right now coming out of Colorado. So we got to use what we got, and let's have a conversation. If this is your first time here, go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you're a regular, go ahead and jump in the comments, join me in the conversation. All are welcome. All opinions are valuable. So today we're going to have a real conversation, something that's important and something that we need to talk about as fans. As you guys know, this channel is not about hype. It's not about a potential. It's not about what we hope for this program, but what is it that we actually need right now and where we're headed. So for 2027, we are getting off to a good start. I love the recruits that we're getting commitments from. I love the players that are coming to Boulder and giving us a shot, a real opportunity at their recruitment. I don't think this is guys just coming to campus just for clout, right? These are official visits. They're really evaluating this program to see whether or not Colorado is where they want to play their college football. So as you come up in here, hit that like button, go ahead and jump in the comments. Let's get this conversation started. Topic number one is going to be around 2027 recruiting. And are you buying or are you selling our 2027 recruiting class so far? Now, what makes it tough for any recruiting class is whether or not you're able to get your guys in the NFL. We're going to talk about the 2026 draft and what happened there, guys who signed as free agents, and what happened in the draft and how that might bode for our ability to recruit new talent. And then we're going to talk about a couple of buffs that are ringing bells in the NFL right now. Shedeur Sanders, of course, with the Cleveland Browns. And we're going to get an update on Travis Hunter as well. So again, this is a slow season in Colorado, but we got a lot to talk about. So let's go ahead and kick it off with recruiting news. Right out of the gate, we got a big one here. 4-star offensive lineman Antonio Berry. All right, as you guys know, football is won and lost in the trenches, and I think we got a good one here. A lot of folks competing for this player. I'm going to go ahead and share his 24/7 so you can check out what might be headed to Boulder in 2027. Highly recruited guy out of Tupelo, Mississippi. There you have it. 4-star offensive lineman, official visit on May the 15th. Interior offensive lineman, so maybe looking at guard, right? 6'5", 280 pounds, like I said, out of Tupelo, Mississippi in the South. Competition for this recruit is going to be serious. It already is. So he's still early in his recruitment. You'll see some of the schools here that we'll go over that are in play for this interior offensive lineman. He has a 4-star rating, number 10 interior offensive lineman in the country, number 5 player in Mississippi. Current colleges, only official visit right now on the schedule is with Alabama. My goodness, is that how he's closing his recruitment? On June 19th, he's going to be headed to Alabama. Okay. So a couple of quick stats here. They have him at 6'5", 280 pounds. Currently ranked, like I said, the number 8 interior offensive lineman in 2027. And he's quoted as saying development is the biggest thing. Right? Now, Coach Prime always say, a lot of times it's about the bag. And we're going to talk about another 2027 recruit who just came out and said it. Hey, it was about the money. I had a bottom line. If you weren't going to meet me there, it's not even a possibility with my recruitment. So we know finances are going to be a part of this recruitment because players like this are going to command a pretty healthy pay package. But when he was asked about what was important to him in his recruiting, he said development was the biggest thing. So you got Gunnar White, You got Andre Girard, and you got Coach Hegeman. The three-headed monster at Colorado are all going to be part of the recruitment of this particular player, Antonio Berry. In addition, he said relationships matter. And we know Colorado is big on relationships, especially Coach Prime. We'll talk about that when we get into the 2026 draft and kind of where players went and maybe what kind of role relationships might have played in getting those players opportunity. And he continues to say, I take the visits, then see what things look like. All right. So he's going to be in Colorado on May the 15th. Okay. That quote tells you everything I think you need to know about a player like this. This recruitment is not going to be about hype, right? You're not going to sell him on, you're going to get a lot of eyeballs. Maybe you're going to play in prime time. A player like this is going to end up in a school that plays in prime time all the time. It's not going to be about social media, right? About how we can grow your brand. This is truly for him about getting to the next level, which for a player of his caliber is the NFL. He's really looking for that team that can develop him and who's ultimately going to get him into a position where he could be playing on Sundays. So a couple of teams in the hunt right now, you see them, the usual suspects, right? Especially at the top of the list, Alabama, Arkansas, another SEC school, and Auburn. I think Ole Miss is in the mix as well, naturally because he's a Mississippi kid. So you never want to let a player like this out of the state. So Ole Miss is going to be in play, even though he's not listed. They're not listed here for an official visit. All right. And so right now, all indications are that it's a close race between Alabama and Ole Miss. But it looks like Colorado is throwing their hat into the ring because they want to play big as well. Hey, listen, coaching matters, but talent matters as well. Your ability to attract players like an Antonio Berry really matters, which is why Jordan Seaton was such a big pickup when he did choose Colorado to come over, right? The number one offensive tackle coming out of high school when he chose Colorado. All right. Now, what are we competing against, right? Alabama, 18 national titles. Ole Miss, they were just in the college football playoffs, and we're coming off of a 3-9 season, guys. So we really got to do some strong recruiting, right? And that's a gap that Colorado has to close. And that's why winning is so important. And that's why I really love the attitude of this team in 2026. It's all about winning. You got to put the best 11 on the field that's actually going to win you some games. Now, some additional challenges here. Trying to get a kid out of the South, Boulder is a long, long way away. I know we've had tons of success recruiting players out of Georgia, which I love. I think we got a couple of Florida boys over the last couple of years, but continuing to recruit in the South. I know we got some players out of Louisiana as well. So we're making a case, right? And I'm sure when these kids come on their visit, if the issue of being so far away from home comes up, they have other guys that can kind of walk them through that process because they're going through the adjustment as well. Weather is always an issue, right? Alabama versus Colorado. And then, of course, the altitude. But one thing that no other place has is the beauty of Colorado up in Boulder. So I know a lot of players are enamored whenever they make their visit because it's such a beautiful place. But now, here's the thing. This is SEC football versus Big 12 football. Right? And when you're talking about exposure for players of this profile, you know that SEC tends to be able to say all the right things. They have all the facilities, and they're going to be on TV every single week. They're going to be in prime time, or if they're in a daytime slot, they're going to be the game of the week. Right? If you're playing in the SEC, you're going to get that visibility, and they do have a track record of putting players in the NFL. So let's talk about those who have already successfully committed. This is a good one, guys. You love to see players like this showing up in Boulder and giving this team a real opportunity to recruit them. All right, guys. So if you're just coming in the room, go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and then get in the comments. Let me know what you think about our chances of getting a player like Antonio Berry. So players who have committed. 4-star quarterback, 24/7 composite 4-star. 24/7 Sports has him as a 3-star. But Andre Adams, quarterback, 6'2", 180 pounds, out of Antioch, Tennessee, class of 2027. Love this pickup right here. Colorado is securing the future with this pickup. Of course, we got Juju Lewis going into his redshirt sophomore season. The number one, maybe number 2 quarterback in his class when he came out. We also picked up Keneal Sweetwine, who I believe was a 3-star quarterback who's been showing some good promise playing behind both Isaac Wilson and Juju Lewis. And now we're picking up Andre Adams for the 2027 class. So let's look at some of his statistics here, and we'll read his profile. So other teams that were in the hunt for him, peers like Arkansas, Auburn, Cincinnati, Florida State. That is good company to be in. I think Kentucky was also in play as well. So here's what 24/7's director of scouting, Andrew Ivins, has to say about his play. He is an elastic, right? What a description. Dual threat quarterback that can push the pace. So in the go-go offense, I mean, maybe you might give this pickup of Andre Adams to the recruiting prowess of Brennan Marion. Looking for that true dual threat quarterback to really run the go-go offense. Now, Brennan Marion is on a 2-year contract, so when you see a pickup for 2027, doesn't necessarily mean that he's picking up this guy to play. I think if Brennan Marion is able to pick up some wins here and have a strong season in 2026 and in 2027, he might have plans to stick around, because you plan on sticking around when you're picking up a quarterback like this in the 2027 class. That means you intend to be here in 28 and 29 to really watch this player develop, or at least that's the hope, right? How can we retain a Brennan Marion when he's bringing in talent like this, a 4-star quarterback? He will get the ball out fast with a quick trigger. That's an absolute must in the go-go offense, but he really shines as an on-the-move distributor, so he can get out of the pocket. The go-go loves to move that quarterback around, especially a dual threat quarterback that Brennan Marion can use in the option game. Constantly extends plays with his agility and pocket awareness as he dances away from pressure and scans the field for open targets. So that's great, right? You have the ability to extend plays. I think Brennan Marion has been quoted as saying, hey, your quarterback is going to have to make some plays for you. There are going to be times during the game when the play breaks down and you still need to be able to make something happen. Can find easy velocity with a whippy upper body release, and game tape is full of him making accurate off-platform tosses. Yeah, being able to get the guy, your playmakers, the ball however you need to. So that's really, really good. And then here, right on the scouting report, right? Dangerous in the RPO game. In Brennan Marion's offense, you're going to play some RPO, but you're also going to play that option as well. And he has the acceleration and is a number that defenses have to account for down in the red zone. Okay, so he's a red zone threat with his legs as well. Stuff box scores as a junior, throwing for over 300 yards in 6 of his final 7 games. All right, so he's a gunslinger, but struggled to find his bearings and find rhythm during practices for the Under Armour All-American game. All right, when the competition stepped up a little bit, maybe he struggled there. Projects as a potential multi-year starter at the Power 4 level, with plenty that will likely need a few developmental semesters to add weight and find his voice. All right. Maybe some a la Juju Lewis here, right? Potential multi-year starter, Power 4, but likely to need a few developmental semesters and add some weight and find his voice. I think you could say that about Juju coming in last year. All right, so this bodes very, very well for Colorado and for the future, having a 4-star quarterback secured, coming in to join that quarterback room in 2027. All right, next up, and I truly think we might have the face of Colorado football here in Andre Adams after Juju Lewis. All right. And he fits really well in the system and is going to be really, really good for Colorado's brand. And, with a good quarterback like this, you're going to be able to bring in other players that want to play with them. All right. Next up, 3-star cornerback. A lot of controversy around Coach Prime saying he only wants guys who are 5'11" and above. I know who talked about this. Dukes. Yeah, Philip Dukes talked about this and kind of people talking about, oh, well, is he right to have a standard of 5'11" for all of his DBs? Well, hey, you can have a preference, but sometimes a player is a player. And it appears that they went after the player here, not necessarily the measurables. In Devon DeRico, cornerback, 5'9", 165 pounds, out of Miami, Killian High School, Miami, Florida, class of 2027. This is another big get for me. I thought the momentum at cornerback was a little bit slow obviously the best cornerback of the Coach Prime era, probably the best quarterback he's maybe going to ever have at Colorado, Travis Hunter. You expected to see something very similar with, oh my gosh, who played outside? Why am I missing his name? DJ McKinney. You wanted to see a similar kind of career arc for DJ McKinney. It didn't quite pan out for him in 2025. He's now moved on to Notre Dame. But you get a guy like a Mojo Williams, who I really, really like, out of Louisiana, who's playing extremely well in practice right now. I have him pegged as his junior year. Mojo Williams, for me, is going to be All-American. I think he's going to be the best cornerback outside of Travis Hunter in the Coach Prime era for Colorado. Okay. But then you like to see them re-upping again with a guy who has similar potential in Devon DeRico. So he's a 3-star out of Miami, Florida. Good company here to be competing with. Wake Forest, Florida State, Indiana, and Louisville were all after the services of Mr. DeRico. Let's read a little bit about this scouting report on Devon. Feisty defensive back that blends slick man coverage skills with impressive contact courage. So, hey, he wants to play man-to-man. He wants to be in the box. He wants to get physical. He is on the small side, but tested very well at the opening Miami in advance of his senior year and flash during an extended one-on-one season. You love to see players that are playing against top competition, even outside of the football season. Stays on top of routes with impressive short area bursts, breaks on the football and swats hands. Okay, so he plays the ball. Coach Prime loves a playmaker, right? He wants to see his cornerbacks make plays, even if they have to take risks, which I love that he's encouraging them to do that, especially when you got safeties over the top who can help you out, right? You can feel more comfortable being a lot more aggressive. Strikes as an open field tackler and likes to throw his weight around. All right, he's not afraid. Right? You don't let the size fool you. Got looks around the secondary as a junior and should offer similar versatility in college, but ceiling might be highest in the nickel. All right, so we maybe have a nickel corner here at 5'9", playing those shifty, smaller wide receivers on the inside. He projects as a multi-year starter at the Power 4 level, so you love to see it. Now, let's talk about speed, because speed really kills. Track, part of a 4x100 squad that qualified for states as a junior. Top markers include 11-10. He's not he's not Ernest Campbell or anything like that, but still fast. So 11-10 in the 100-meter dash and 23.94 in the 200 meters. 2025 total 34 tackles, 9 tackles for loss, 7 PBUs, 5 sacks, 3 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles, and 1 fumble recovery in 10 games as a junior. He was all over the place. Right, if he wasn't making a tackle, he was making the tackle in the backfield. He was breaking up a pass, and it looks like they use him in the rush game. 5 sacks. I've seen Mojo Williams do the same thing in Coach Marv's defense. They love to bring pressure, and they bring it from everywhere, including from corner. And so having got a guy who can blitz from that nickel position is really important in a very aggressive, pressure-oriented defense. All right, guys, are you enjoying the live stream? I know I've been gone for a while, but I'm back. I'm trying to find some football content for y'all. Let me know what you think of this 2027 Colorado recruiting class so far. All right, so we talked Andre Adams. We talked Devon DeRico. Wait, actually, let me look at Andre Adams' stats here, which I didn't go over. All right, 2026, participated in the Under Armour All-American game as an underclassman, 3 of 6 passing for 5 yards and 1 interception. 2025 finished his junior season with a 9-2 record as a starter at Antioch, led the Bears to Tennessee Division I Class 6A playoffs for the 3rd consecutive seasons. Wow, 3-year starter. Completed 174 of 245 passes, 71% completion percentage. You love to see that. Those are Shedeur Sanders' numbers in terms of accuracy. He threw for 3,418 yards, 35 touchdowns, and only 1 interception, so he protects the ball. And this is where the dual threat ability comes into play. Also carried the ball 100 times for 855 yards, averaging 8.5 yards per carry and 13 touchdowns on the ground. So he had a total of 48 touchdowns in his junior season. Incredible. Incredible. All right, defense, defense, defense. All right. So we got now on the D line where we need to continue to recruit, and so maybe tip of the cap to Coach Carter here, the defensive line coach, bringing in interior defensive lineman here in Kenny Fairley. I've heard a lot of good things about him from guys like Dukes the Scoop. Big Texas. All right, 713. I appreciate you, the biggest, the largest. I appreciate you coming in here with the first comment. Let's see what you got. Let's go ahead and put this up on the screen and let's talk about it. It says, how is it that all the transfer portal players that came to Colorado last year just flopped like that? LOL. I was in disbelief. Yeah, I was in disbelief too. We're going to be talking about that when we get to the draft class for Colorado in a little bit more depth. But let's talk about it. I mean, no excuses, right? I think the wheels just absolutely came off last year. And there were a few anchor transfers that if they had panned out, I think the team would have had a much better season in 2025, namely Caden Salter. I think the team essentially bet they bet the season on Caden. And from game one, I think it was apparent that he was not going to be that guy. And throughout the season, it never really felt like he took ownership of that. And most teams are going to play to the level of the identified leader or the de facto leader, even if that person isn't really assuming the role, which is your quarterback. And like I was saying earlier, your quarterback has to win you some games, man. The quarterback just has to have that dog in him that's going to put the offense on his back and win you some games. And it never quite clicked for Caden Salter. And so I'm not going to put the whole thing on him. Of course, you have to put a lot of responsibility on Coach Prime. You have to put a lot of responsibility on Pat Shurmur, who I thought should have been gone in after the 2024 season. You have to put some responsibility on Robert Livingston. But in terms of transfers, I think Caden Salter would be the guy that at least I am identifying as one of the players who didn't live up to their billing. The other guy was Jaheim Otis. And we could not stop the run to save our life in 2025. And Jaheim Otis was supposed to be the fix for that. He never really got traction at Colorado. And when you have two guys in Salter and Jaheim Otis who are getting big paychecks but not playing like it is very, very toxic for a football team. So unfortunately, that was the story of 2025, and it ended up costing us a lot of great talent. So you got a guy like Omarion Miller leave and go to Arizona State. You get a guy like Tawfiq Byer, who was a transfer that did pan out, decide to leave and go to Texas Tech. So it was just a disaster of a season, man. But Big Texas, great question. I think those two, one on offense, one on defense, were a big part of that. So I appreciate you being here. I don't know if you're a first timer here, but if you are, you are always welcome, sir. All right, let's get back to work. So we're back on the defensive side of the ball. So we need defensive linemen that can make plays. Kenny Fairley out of Georgia. I've heard Dukes the Scoop say a lot of good things about him. And he made that decision early. He was going to be here in 2027. And understand from all reports that he's a real dog. All right, out of Creekside High School, Fairborn, Georgia. Colorado obviously got the commit, but East Carolina, Cincinnati, Purdue, Arkansas State. Don't know if he's going to keep this visit here, given that he's already committed, but hey, it's on the calendar, right? All right, let's look at the no stats for Kenny. All right. Not much of a profile here, but the number 130 defensive lineman in the class, the 133rd player in Georgia. Hopefully we see him move up in the rankings in his senior year. But hey, that's another get on the defensive line. Love to see it. Again, guys, go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We are on our way to 1,000 subscribers, all because of your support of this channel. All right, Big Texas is back. It says, check out my cousin, Landon Williams Callis, class of 2027. I reached out to 4 Colorado coaches about recruiting him. None of them wrote back, but I did get a coach to follow me. So that's a start. Hey, listen, keep working. Keep working. If you believe in something and you believe in your cousin and you know he is that and you want him to play at Colorado, keep working. Best way to do that is probably drop a link to his highlight tape. I'm looking for tape. This is the off season, right? As long as I have your permission to use his tape, it's not going to be any copyright issues on YouTube. I'm happy to review the tape, right? And you never know who watches this channel. I mean, we have a decent sized community. Maybe I can help boost it, but he's got to be a dog. All right. So put it in the comments. Give me some content to react to. And if you're not following the channel, please follow the channel. And then check out some of my other highlight reviews. Let me know if I'm doing those reviews and doing it justice, because I want to make sure that I do your cousin justice in case somebody does watch this stream. All right. So I appreciate you being here, Big Texas. Keep working. Keep working. Never give up. All right. So now those are the commits for 2027. All right, 4-star quarterback Andre Adams, 3-star cornerback Devon DeRico, and 3-star defensive lineman Kenny Fairley. So where do we rank right now in terms of class ranking? We are currently the number 45 class nationally for 2027, and we are the number 7 class with just those 3 pickups in the Big 12. I mean, it's not elite, right? We're not in the top 3 in the Big 12. We're definitely not in the top 10 in the nation, but it's a major improvement from 2025 where we were ranked 68th, okay? 68th nationally last year and number 15 in the Big 12. I think that's second to last. I think there's like 16 teams in the Big 12. So that's enormous progress, and I think big hats off to Coach Box, who's the head recruiter. I think they brought in some other people to help with recruiting as well. And then Coach Marion and Coach Marv, they're already off to a great start for 2027. Love to see it. All right. Now we're going to do a little bit of a pivot because this actually affects recruiting. And let's be honest, man, Colorado has 0 players drafted in 2026. That's no bueno. Now we know even the 2024 draft was horrible. Okay, excuse me, even the 2025 draft, the Shedeur Sanders, LaJohntay Wester, Jimmy Horn, seeing Shedeur Sanders fall all the way to the 5th round, Jimmy Horn and LaJohntay Wester going in the 6th round, but at least some players were drafted. Now, the shining star, obviously, of that draft was Travis Hunter going number 2 to the Jaguars, who we will be talking about here shortly. But even though no players were drafted, we did have 6 buffs that got signed. Okay, they got signed to undrafted free agent contracts. We got Anquin Barnes Jr. Anquin Barnes Jr. Let's go ahead and put up Big Quinn. Now, this was not a player that I expected to go so early as an undrafted free agent. But you know what? Those NFL scouts, man, that's what they do for a living. Let's look at Big Quinn last year. And again, another Alabama to Colorado transfer. Now gets an opportunity in the NFL is Anquin Barnes, 2025 stats, 22 total tackles, 12 solo, 10 assisted, no sacks, right? So another underwhelming season for a transfer player. However, at 6'5", 340 pounds, he gets an opportunity out of Montgomery, Alabama to play for the New York Giants. So big shout out to Big Quinn getting signed into the NFL. Now he just has to go out and earn it. An exciting player here that I'm happy to see get signed, and I was very disappointed about the season that he had is, let's see if we can pull him up here. Sincere Brown. Sincere Brown, very excited, 6'5", 190 pounds, out of Colorado. I think he was a case of he suffered from the quarterback carousel of having 3 different quarterbacks trying to throw you the ball. He also suffered greatly from having an offensive coordinator not knowing how to use an offense like him, an offensive player like him on the outside. Where is his statistics? I mean, he was probably one of the guys that it bothered me the most that he had the season that he had last year. I thought he was he could have been a real weapon for this team and a real difference maker. So during the 2025 college football season with Colorado, wide receiver Sincere Brown played 12 games, started in 11, recorded 22 receptions for 376 yards and 2 touchdowns. If you had the right OC, for example, Brennan Marion, and he had the right quarterback, let's call it Juju Lewis or um, yeah, probably Juju Lewis, right? Really playing at a high level. I think he would have had an outstanding year and could have been drafted. I mean, the measurables are just off the charts. The measurables are just off the charts. He runs a 4.32, 6'5", 185, 190, and run a 4.3. No wonder he got picked up with the Chargers. So best of luck to Sincere Brown. I know he's going to make an impact in the NFL. All right, next up, Xavier Hill, Memphis transfer to Colorado. So a big Texas. This is now these are the guys who were 1-year transfers, right? So Anquan Barnes, Sincere Brown. Anquan Barnes was 2 years, right? Because he was here in 2024. Sincere Brown is a 1-year transfer. Xavier Hill was a 1-year transfer. And he got drafted, undrafted free agent to the Jets. So 6'4", 320 pounds. Started in 11. He played in 11 games, started in 10, started at left guard. And he was the PFF Big 12 left guard of the week. He had a couple preseason honors, but I think that offensive line held up pretty well in the early part of the season. So it's great to see Xavier Hill in the NFL. Preston Hodge, the nickel corner, is now with the Jaguars, and he is in good company with a lot of Colorado Buffalo transfers. The likes of BJ Green, who transferred from Arizona State, of course, Cam Silman-Craig, who came over from Jackson State, and Travis Hunter as well. So it's good to welcome another Buff to the Jaguars. Preston Hodge, I'm hoping that he really continues to develop as a player. But it's great to see Preston Hodge get an opportunity in the NFL. Great to see him get an opportunity in the NFL. Yeah, 6 foot, 200 pounds out of Colorado. I don't know why I can't see their stats. Guess now that they're in the league, it's hard to find the college stats, huh? All right, big shout out to Preston Hodge. Next up is Arden Walker, who I think he would probably tell you he had not the season he quite wanted to have. I had him pegged to be one of the sack leaders in the Big 12. It really didn't pan out that way. I think he had two and a half sacks on the season. And he's now with the Vikings. He is now with the Vikings. So big shout out to Arden Walker. Getting draft or undrafted free agent, signing a deal with the Vikings. So he had 46 total tackles, 19 unassisted, 4.5 tackles for loss, and 2.5 sacks over 10 games. He had 9 quarterback hurries, 1 pass breakup, and 1 safety. No wonder he got a deal, an opportunity. And then Caden Salter, I think he might have signed. I think he got a mini camp invite, but I don't know if Say No More or somebody just posted that he just signed with the Canadian Football League. Can somebody check Say No More and let me know if I'm accurate in that? But when I was prepping for this particular live stream, I had him being signed to the Titans for a mini camp invite. All right. So now, even though these guys did not get drafted, Colorado has a great record of undrafted free agents making NFL rosters. Cam Silman-Craig, BJ Green, Zay Weaver, and probably a host of other guys that I'm forgetting their names right now. And that's because of the work ethic, man. Those players know how to practice. They know how to show up. They know how to get better. They watch film. They're disciplined. They're great teammates. So I have very, very high hopes for these guys, even though they weren't drafted, that they're going to make an NFL roster. Big Texas says Brown has potential. He's just a little uncoordinated. All right. Big Texas. All right. Well, I mean, I think we could have used him differently. He isn't the sharpest route runner, but with a guy with 4.3 speed, man, you just gotta let him run under the ball sometimes, right? You gotta play to his height, 6'5", throw him the jump ball, throw him the fade, and just let him go make big plays for you down the field. All right, so I appreciate each and every one of you for hanging out with me here on a Monday night. If you haven't already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We're going to keep this thing going. Those are the players that I have record of. And so that's why the big question continues to persist, not only off of the 3-9 season, but it's really about, can the Colorado Buffaloes get you to the NFL? That's a big question. What say you, people who are watching? Can the Colorado Buffaloes get good players who show up, play, practice hard to the NFL? Because recruits want to know. Recruits want to know. All right, so there's a lot of controversy already in the offseason in Cleveland. How many of you are following Shedeur Sanders in Cleveland right now? It's getting a little bit crazy. It's getting a little bit crazy. We're going to take a look at an article here. I know some of you have probably heard of the issues that were going on with the reporter, Mary Kay Cabot, beat reporter, and the comments that Shiloh made. But this is a football channel. We're going to talk about how the media is actually covering Shedeur Sanders in Cleveland and what that means for him off the field, because it certainly doesn't mean anything for him on the field, because he also has a new coach in Todd Monken, who was formerly the offensive coordinator over at the Baltimore Ravens, and now that has come over to coach these Cleveland Browns. So this one is kind of a first interesting article. I feel like is a little bit of clickbait, but it's from a site called Heavy. And it says here, Browns quarterback move could be humbling. Didn't we hear that a lot during the draft? Humbling Shedeur Sanders. Let's read a little bit. It says the Cleveland Browns quarterback situation is among the most baffling in the NFL at this point. A battle between Shedeur Sanders, a 5th-round pick who had the lowest Pro Football Focus grade of any starter in the NFL last year, and Deshaun Watson, a burnt-out veteran who has had 2 Achilles tendon surgeries, has not played since October 2024, and was among the worst QBs in the league when he was last on the field, is a bit like choosing between watching paint dry or watching grass grow. Now, is this real football analysis? No. This is clearly somebody who is writing this article for clicks, but this is a snapshot of how the media is covering this quarterback competition. And what was weird in 2020, I never watched Cleveland Browns football. I started watching after Shedeur Sanders got drafted. One of the immediate things that jump out was that the media in Cleveland, of course, there were some voices that were advocating for him to get a fair shot at an opportunity to earn the position. But from the outset, you could see that people were trying to create any narrative possible to keep him out of the starting job. It was never really about his play on the field. It was always about the narratives, whether it was getting leaked from inside the building or narratives that were being created outside of the building, that never really gave him a real shot. So you get somebody who didn't really have much of an offseason, didn't even get any reps with the first team, and still goes out there late in the season after Dylan Gabriel gets a concussion and is able to win, I think, 3, maybe 4 games. Remind me, I think, or either he was like 3 or 4. He was 3-4 in 7 games towards the end of the season. And he ended the season as the starter. Now, traditionally, you would assume that if you bring in a quarterback towards the end of the season and that quarterback wins more games than any of the other quarterbacks before him during the season, even though he might have a losing record and maybe didn't, like you said, put up all-star numbers, and this is something like they like to throw out in Cleveland a lot, this Pro Football Focus grade. But you get a guy who's developing some rhythm, winning you some football games. The natural assumption is that he's going to come into the next season as the odds-on favorite. But you could immediately tell that the media in Cleveland wants to and is creating a narrative that Deshaun Watson is the odds-on favorite to be the starter. Now, the crazy thing is that it was the exact opposite in 2025. And then all of a sudden, it's flipped in 2026. So in 2025, it was anybody but Shedeur, but it's never going to get as bad as wanting to see just Deshaun Watson play. All of a sudden, Deshaun Watson is the golden boy in Cleveland. I know this article is kind of being fair and balanced in their criticism of both players and saying that Cleveland is kind of crazy to be fighting over both these guys to be their starting quarterback. There's nothing here. But in Cleveland, the opposite is true. They're making it seem like in Deshaun Watson we trust. And this same media in 2025 wouldn't touch Deshaun Watson with a 10-foot pole. It's just crazy how quickly the narrative flips. But I'm going to get off the narrative part of it and let's just talk a little bit about football. Okay? Number one, there's a new coach. And I love this quote from Todd Monken. So we'll go ahead and close this out because this is not football analysis. This is what Todd Monken says. And this article is courtesy of NFL.com. He says, it's always changing based on what I see. I don't have a history with any of our players. I know where this is heading, but I don't have history with any of our players. They're all external to me, just like when I interviewed coaches for the coordinator position. There were no internal candidates. I wasn't here. They're all external to me. So all the players are external other than, and he pointed out a player that came over to him. The point is what I've seen over 3 days. Okay, that gives us a little bit of a 40,000 foot view of where we're at, but that can change. Okay. So basically what he's saying is, hey, he's got his eyes wide open. He's just going to let the play on the field dictate who the starter is going to be. And it's not really involved any of this narrative creation. So number one, he's not giving Shedeur the job. Okay, for all, I mean, and there's narratives for people who support Shedeur saying, oh, Todd Monken did this. Todd Monken smiled at him. Todd Monken had nice things to say about him. So therefore, Shedeur is going to be the starter. What Todd Monken is saying, you don't know how much politics he's playing right here, just saying that this is coach speak. But he's saying basically, hey, look, I got my eyes wide open. I'm just looking to put the best player out there on the field because Todd Monken himself has a tremendous amount of pressure on him to win in Cleveland. Okay, especially after this draft. And Cleveland had one of the best drafts of 2026. And if you look purely at the draft, it appears like Cleveland was trying to build a team around Shedeur Sanders. But again, don't let the media tell it. The Cleveland media tell it. Okay. So number two is a training camp battle. They're going to be battling for this position, but ideally Todd Monken says he wants to know who his quarterback is in June, maybe in July. Because he feels, at least his philosophy is, that the team needs to know who the guy is going to be so they can really coalesce around him. So here's the reality. Watson is a vet, right? And so I don't know who was saying this, man. I don't want to steal their analysis like it's mine, but he had a great point. And he said that, of course, I think it was Aqib Talib. He was like, of course, Watson is going to look better in practice because he is a veteran and veterans know how to practice well. So Watson definitely has the experience advantage and he has the reps, right? NFL experience advantage. Okay, but Shedeur needs to win the job and it's going to be up to him to do so. So my question to you is, okay, let's say they have a real quarterback competition. Who do you give the edge to? Do you give it to Deshaun Watson or do you give it to Shedeur Sanders? Based on what you've seen from Deshaun Watson at Clemson, based on what you saw from him at the Texans, based on his injury history, and then on the opposite side of the ledger, what you've seen from Shedeur Sanders at Colorado, what you saw from him with the Cleveland Browns last year, and then where he might have developed in his ongoing progression in 2026. Who do you give the nod to? Deshaun Watson or Shedeur Sanders? Quick poll. Let me know what you think in the comments. Now, I know a lot of you watch me on TV, so I know a lot of you can't be in the comments. But if I had to guess on a Colorado channel, a lot of you are screaming Shedeur Sanders. So that's who I give the slight edge to, and this is based on play on the field, not because I'm a fan. I think he earned the job through the end of last season, and I think he's going to continue to earn that job and be QB1. And based on what happened in the draft, it is clear to me that they are building that team around Shedeur Sanders. Okay, so I believe that Shedeur Sanders is going to be the week 1 starter. All right, now let's go to the story of Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter. Is Travis Hunter going to be a two-way player in 2026? What are your thoughts? Is it smart for the Jacksonville Jaguars to play him as a two-way player? You know, he's coming off a season-ending knee injury. Okay. Does the Travis Hunter experiment continue in 2026? Or do you think it's smarter for Jacksonville to play him on one side of the ball? Okay, so this is a great article, SI, Jacksonville Jaguars. And what's the Jaguars 2026 draft haul really mean for Travis Hunter's usage? So it says, after seeing the 10 selections that the Jaguars made over the course of the draft's 3 days, it's clear the Jaguars are not going to deviate from that plan one bit. What's the plan? Jaguars have never given the impression that Hunter is not going to play both ways in 2026, so they're still going to play in both ways. The Jaguars brass has routinely noted that Hunter will continue to be a two-way player, but that does not mean that we yet have clarity on what exactly that looks like and how much Hunter splits his time between offense and defense. That is still up in the air. But what we do know is that the Jaguars will especially need Hunter at cornerback. That is what the Jaguars said was clear from the jump at the start of the offseason, and every move made since then only strengthens the case for Hunter to be the Jaguars' #1 cornerback in 2026. And I feel the same way. Travis Hunter is a great wide receiver, but he's an even better cornerback. Listen to me, what I'm saying. Travis Hunter is a great wide receiver, but he is even a better cornerback. And what makes him such a great cornerback is that he's such a good wide receiver. That is what makes him elite. Now, he has the size, he has the height, he has the long arms, he has the long strides. You know, he trusts his technique. He's a playmaker. He has incredible hands. He has the ability to make it tough on, you know, the bigger wide receivers that are going to be playing on the outside in the NFL. He's going to make plays at cornerback. All right. And if I'm the Jacksonville Jaguars, he's my cornerback 1. No doubt about that. Yeah, we want to get him on offense, which he's going to be able to make plays, but 90% of his reps are going to be on defense for me. And they're saying he's not going to be cornerback 1 because the Jaguars happen to draft 2 wide receivers in the 6th round in Josh Cameron and CJ Williams. It instead has to do with the fact that the Jaguars spent 10 picks, including multiple at receiver, tight end, and defensive end, and did not make a single selection at cornerback. Okay, so they're going all in on Travis Hunter's return in 2026 to be the #1 cornerback in the NFL, right? Or at least for sure for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and give himself a real opportunity to be one of the best defensive players in the league. All right. So just to also say that is being reinforced by some of the leaders on the team. So Josh Hines-Allen says the Jaguars have a playmaking corner in Travis, right? Everybody who sees Travis practice at corner just knows that he's elite. It's going to be very, very difficult to complete a pass on him, whether it be in one-on-ones, 7-on-7s, or in team drill. All right. So I just wanted to bring you guys some recruiting news, some news of the Colorado Buffaloes who have been drafted in 2026 and what we could look forward to from those guys in the NFL. And now I wanted to bring you a little bit of Shedeur Sanders news as well as a Travis Hunter update. All right. It's the off season, guys. So to Big Texas, go ahead and send me that tape. Link it in the description. I'm going to go ahead and check out your cousin. I am looking for film to review. Anytime you guys drop film in the comments, I'm going to pick it up and I'm going to review it. All right. So I appreciate you guys joining me. Go ahead and hit that like, hit that subscribe, and comment on this video if you are rewatching it. We should be back on Saturday at noon for another live stream for another update, but I appreciate you guys joining me now. Until next time, peace.